Let's move to the first part of your AS level curriculum, 1.1 Enterprise. So what are we going to learn here? The nature of business activity, and under the nature of business activity, you have these key areas to cover. Purpose of business activity, the concept of creating value, the nature of economic activity, the problem of choice and opportunity cost. Business environment is dynamic. What a business needs to succeed. Why many businesses fail early on. Now moving to your textbook. Let's list down all the keywords which is related to your first topic. So we are looking into enterprise topic. Now let's list down all the key words, the key vocabularies which is needed. So you can see business activity is a key word, raw materials, semi-finished goods. So these are some of the key words that you should remember. Consumer goods, consumer services, then you have factors of production, underneath that land, labor, capital, enterprise, capital goods, added value, creating value. Now these are all the key words that you should know. Opportunity cost, economic activity, problem of choice, entrepreneur. Right. Now let's move into the main topic. And we are moving into the introduction to the topic. Now let's look into a start activity with a case study. Dulip starts his business. Dulip lives in a large country with many natural resources such as coal and timber. He plans to start a business growing and cutting trees to sell as timber. He wants to buy a forest from a farmer and cut down a fixed number of trees each year. As Dulip is concerned about his environment, countries, he will plant 2 new trees for each one he cuts down. He has been planning this business venture for some time. He has visited a bank to arrange a loan. He has contacted suppliers of saws and other equipment to check on prices. Dulip has also visited several furniture companies to see if they would be interested in buying wood from the forest. In fact, he did a great deal of planning before he was able to start his business. Dulip is prepared to take risks and will invest this own savings as well as using the bank loan to set up the business. He plans to employ 3 workers to help him to start with. If the business is success, then he will also try to sell some of the timber abroad. He knows that timber prices are high in some foreign markets. After several months of planning, he was able to purchase the forest. Points to think. Now take some time to think of the case study that I read. Why do you think Dulip decided to own and run his own business rather than work for another firm? Why was it important to Dulip that he should do so much planning before starting his business? Do you think Dulip will make a successful entrepreneur? new businesses such as Dulips good for a country's economy? Now think about it and come up with your answers for this question. Be creative. There's nothing to be in terms of business. You can just think about your ideas and share it. Now, let's look into the purpose of business activity. What is the purpose of business activity? A business is any organization that uses resources to meet the needs of customers by providing a product or service that they demand. So there are several stages in producing a product. So it starts from input to process to output. So business activities at all stages involve creating, adding value to resources such as raw materials and semi-finished goods and making them more desirable to and thus valued by the final purchaser. So without business activity, we won't be able to produce everything that we want for ourselves. So we need to depend on others who are experts in producing those goods. Business activity uses scarce resources. Scarce resources means these are resources which cannot be renewed. Our planet to produce goods and services that allows us to enjoy very much higher standard of living than would be possible if we remained entirely self-sufficient. What do businesses do? What do they actually work for? So you can see here, businesses identify the needs of the consumers or the firms because you know there's C2C, you know that there is B2B and B2C. B2B means business to business, B2C means business to customers. So goods are also produced by firms to other firms. Goods are also produced by firms to direct customers. They then purchase resource or factors of production in order to produce goods and services that satisfy these needs, usually with the aim of making a profit. So here we are looking into consumer goods and services. These are directly to meet the needs of the customers. And the difference between goods and services, goods are physical and they are tangible. However, services are intangible and invisible. Now, the service that I am providing is a service, the teaching that I do. So you can see the definition of consumer goods and consumer services. Take a few minutes to read. Hope now you're clear of consumer goods and services. Now let's look into the curriculum again. What is next? So still we are on purpose of business activity. Now what are the four factors of production? There is land, labor, capital and enterprise. Now land includes all the natural resources, whereas labor, the manual and skilled workforce. Capital can be the finance that is needed to run your business. And also capital goods such as computers, machines, factories, offices and vehicles are needed to run a business. So what is enterprise? This is the driving force providing by risk-taking individuals. These are the people, these are the owners of businesses who combine land, labor and capital appropriately in order to run a business. Now, capital goods, what is the definition? These are physical goods used by industry to aid in the production of other goods and services such as machines and commercial vehicles. Now we are moving to the second part of your curriculum, which is the concept of creating value. So what does this mean? All businesses aim to create value by selling goods and services for higher price than the cost of bought-in materials. This is called creating value. So you purchase a specific item for $100 and you do not sell it for the same price. If you sell it for 110, the $10 is the value that you create. So if a customer is prepared to pay a price that is greater than the cost of the materials used in making or providing a good or service, then the business has been successful in creating value. This also can be referred to as added value. The difference between the selling price of the products sold by a business and the cost of the materials that is bought is called added value. So without creating value, a business won't be able to overcome its costs. So let's have a better understanding between the creating value and added value. Creating value, increasing the difference between the cost of purchasing in materials and the price of the finished goods are sold for. What is added value? This is the difference between the purchasing bought in material, the previous one should be bought in material, and the price of the finished goods that are sold for. Are you able to identify both the differences? Right. Now you can see here a business needs. So a business needs factors of production, land, capital, enterprise, labor. Also you need the government. Without government interference, you cannot run a business in a country. You need your customers and you need your suppliers. Now when it comes to land, you have site for buildings, raw materials, and for capital, finance, factory officers, machines, governments, there are schools, roads, rail, airports, law and order. Under enterprise, there are risk takers, decision makers and coordinators. And labor, you get skilled workers, unskilled workers, temporary and permanent. And the two more key people are your customers and suppliers. You buy from your suppliers and you sell it to your customers. Now, the nature of economic activity and the problem of choice and opportunity cost. Now, what are we going to learn here? First, you need to have an understanding of what does opportunity cost mean. This is the benefit of the next most desired option which is given up. Now, you walk into a shop and you decided to buy a smartphone or a pair of shoes. But you do not have enough money to buy both of them. So if you choose to buy your phone, you had given up buying shoes. If you chose to buy shoes, you had given up buying your phone. So what you give up is the next best alternative, and that situation is called opportunity cost. Now let's see the economic activity and the problem of choice. So we live in a world of great wealth and great scarcity. Very poor people are unable to obtain the basic requirements of life, food, clean water and shelter, and they have many unsatisfied needs and wants. Now see children, needs are something which is mandatory for survival, but wants can differ. But even rich people, they do have unsatisfied wants which they couldn't fulfill. It should be clear to us that all that are insufficient goods to satisfy all our needs and want at any one time, this is known as the economic problem. Because we are not always satisfied with what we have. We always try to move to the next level of our life. So see, there is always an economic problem. Poor people, they have the economic problem of overcoming their basic necessities, whereas the rich, they have the problem of moving to the next level because they are not satisfied with what they have. It is the purpose of economic activity to provide for as many of our wants as possible, yet we are still left wanting more. This shortage of products together with the resources needed to make them, lead to us all having to make choices. So that's the reason we make choices when we spend. As we cannot satisfy all our wants, then we must choose those which will satisfy now and those which will forego. That means which you give up. If we are careful and rational, we will choose those things that give us the greatest benefit, leaving out those things of less value to us. This need to choose is not exclusive to people as consumers. All economic units have to make choices: governments, businesses, workers, charities, and so on. Have a look at it. Explain how the following businesses create added value to the good they buy in: hotel, car dealer, clothing manufacturer, fast food restaurant. Can you find your answer for activity 1.1? Now, we are almost done with purpose of business activity and the concept of creating value, also the nature of economic problem, the problem of choice and opportunity cost. So next class, we will be discussing on business environment is dynamic there onwards.